This is Guinevere's anchor locker, and it's all the way far forward. When we first accepted our responsibility of caring for Guinevere, there were two things with the anchor locker that I was not thrilled with. One was when we put chain in, and we use mostly an all-chain rode, it was banging and bashing on the sides of the hull, the fiberglass hull, and I worried about, how long that would last. So one evening on my way home, a friend of mine had two rubber fenders that he was going to throw away, the kind of tall type, the cylindrical type. Gave me a great idea. Instead of throwing them away, I took them. I cut the top off of them and slit them down the side. That allowed me to roll it out and make a flat piece of very thick, very shock absorbent vinyl. So I cut that to fit and put one on the port and one on the starboard side. And that protected the hull, and now when I'm dropping anchor chain in, I don't get that real bad, annoying sound of the anchor chain hitting the bare fiberglass hull. Once I put it in there, I was pretty sure it would stay by itself, but I decided to go a little bit better. I needed to glue it to the sides. Wasn't sure what to use. I had previously used a can of this spray foam, and it is used primarily in homes. You squirt it behind light sockets and things like that to make sure that it stops all of the air from escaping, just a spray insulation type thing. What I found about it was that it's tremendously sticky stuff. Leave it to me, to get it on my hands and then have to live with it for a while before I could get it off. So I squirted a little of that on the hull, and after 10 years, it's still holding awfully good. I got one little space that's coming loose, but other than that, it holds just great. Now the second part of the things that I wanted to change about the anchor locker was Guinevere originally came with two house pipes that allow anchor chain to come down into the locker. You've got one port and one starboard. So I wanted to carry two anchors on the bow, but I wanted both of them to be ready, or either of them to be ready, when I wanted it. I was concerned that if I put them all together in the same anchor locker, if I brought in the port anchor and put it in, and then I brought in the starboard anchor, the chain was going to overlay the other one, and I would then have to put them out in the proper order, or they would jam up, or I was afraid they might jam up. So what I came up with was right against this wall forward, I put two boards, just small boards that went down, and left a gap between the two boards. Now because the bow is pointed, I was able to put in a board that the front of the board matched the front of the hull, and the back of the board was straight, and it would drop down in, sort of like slotted, until it hit the hull in the front and stayed between the boards in the back. On the left-hand side, I just put a little board cut out with some hole in it to allow any water that comes in to go through, and that would stop the chain from going any further down on the port side than that board. On the right-hand side, I didn't even bother, because the right-hand side, the starboard side, is the anchor that I consider my primary anchor, and I put out the most. Then what I came up with was I needed something to separate the two compartments. So after I put the first board in, I made a second board. And you can see this part fits the bow. This section of it fits in the wooden slot in the back, And then rather than to try and build a wooden board all the way up, which wasn't really needed, I just took a piece of Sunbrella and put it up on it, bent it over, screwed it to both sides, which left a pocket in the top. You can see it's been used quite a bit. You know, this was all done about 10 years ago. To secure the top high, again, whatever I put in there would jam against the front of the hull, but I put a board up here on top with a hole in it for a round dowel rod. Now, originally, 10 years ago, I put that dowel rod in, and I found as we came to do the refit, the dowel rod had actually broken. So what I've done is I've gone to a major hardware store and found the same size in diameter aluminum rod, solid aluminum. So I'm going to replace the aluminum rod, or replace the dowel rod with the aluminum rod. And what this does is it just keeps the anchor rod from flopping from one side to the other. It's not meant to hold it very tightly or anything, just keeps the two anchors separately. And by doing this, I can pay out the port or the starboard anchor in any order I want, and I know that they don't interfere with each other. One anchor is for one type of bottom, the other anchor is for a different type of bottom. I try to look ahead and find out what kind of bottom we're going to be anchoring at so I can determine which one I'm going to deploy first. So now to put this back in, I took it out just to check everything, make sure everything's working, is you just slide it in, and now the rod goes in and fits into the hole right up here. And again, now I've got a port and starboard separate anchor locker out of the same anchor locker. So now I've cut this aluminum rod to length. I put it down through the center of the Sunbrella. And put it through into the notch in the board that I made, and it's secure. And now I've got two anchor lockers that used to be one, and I can pay out either anchor at any time.